Continuing with questions from our lovely viewers, Mr. Kieran Spatula would like to know, do you still have date nights? No.
Oh, well, we do, but they're spiritual date nights.
Oh yes, when you chime in a mystic harmony which floats untethered by the requirement of physical interaction.
Sorry, what was that 12th word again?
That's exactly right. Right? I mean, sometimes I actually feel closer to Harry when I'm not with him and I'm with my friends or Hollywood A-listers. Right? Must be pretty highbrow.
Oh, they sound like they really know what they're talking about.
I'm sure, Harry. The next question comes from a Mrs. Phyllis Satchel. She would like to know whether referring to Archie as a boy is indoctrinating him into a gender stereotype.
We wouldn't even care if Archie was a transgender or a pangender or anything.
Oh, no one said you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Carry on.
We're going to do everything we possibly can to prevent Archie or Lilibet adopting a gender identity just because of social pressure or social norms.
Oh, yeah, social norms. Yeah, you know. Meanies.
I mean, gender is a fluid concept, right? And just because Archie is using male pronouns now doesn't mean he always will. I mean, he'll be 6 before you know it, and he might decide he's a she, her.
Ziza.
Viver.
Zizim.
See, sir, you know, or he might decide to change back and forth, you know, for all the available options, many more of which I'm sure will be added in the coming years.
I no doubt there are hundreds, thousands of Swiss sexuals being discriminated against right now, as we speak, by the lack of proper recognition of their identity.
Swiss sexuals?
Oh, it hasn't been invented yet. It's those who are only attracted to people living in Switzerland.
Ah, the LBGT flag. LGBTQ. Oh, sorry. Since when?
Ever since the Queers Revolt of 2015.
That's going to make it a little harder to remember. But that's the point. It's like a psychological reparation for the pain that non-binary people have had to suffer for years.
What, hard to remember? What, a 5-word acrine, a thingy, you know? LGBTQ.
They didn't have anyone celebrating their identity, you know? They didn't feel safe with who they were. I mean, many people didn't even know that they were non-binary until they were told about it when they were impressionable youths and found out how much more important they'd be than by simply remaining a he or a she.
I mean, I still can't get over how people think that LGBTQ is hard to remember. I mean, don't make me break out the LGBTQIP2SAA dog collar Batman symbol.
Carrying on with our questions from audience members tuning in at home, Mrs. Dolly D. Dollops would like to know, was it wise to wear a $7,000 outfit to a school for underprivileged kids when you were visiting New York City?
I don't really understand the question.
Oh, it seems quite simple. Does wearing such expensive attire to a school for underprivileged children strike a jarring note?
What difference does it make what clothes I wear?
Oh, what does Dolly expect? For my Meghan to dress like a tramp? Like one of those people that our security guards so effectively keep away from our delicate sense of smell?
Well, no, but what I think she's trying to say is...
I mean, I really don't get this. I mean, what does Dolly expect? My Meghan to wear normal clothes and sell off all of her expensive outfits, donating the proceeds to the school or something?
No, I don't think that suggestion is implicit in that question at all. However, many observers might say that to do that would be, you know, more consistent with your endlessly repetitive protests at inequality. That would seem virtuous were they not so, you know, saccharine.
Yeah, I think that would be taking the easy way out, you know? It's not really for individuals like us to be giving our personal money, you know? And we really haven't got that much. I mean, nowhere near as much as we like. You know, our position can be used more effectively by bringing attention to issues and, demanding that world governments get together to find unilateral, solutions to the problems faced by those who are disadvantaged, in some way.
Look, we bring the attention, then a couple of champagne-swilling galas later, and a charity is formed, run by experts who are really smart people, and we know how smart they are because of how much they get paid, often for doing very little, actually. It's amazing.
And real change can be made when governments start to subsidize and donate to these organizations, and millions of pounds of taxpayers' money can finally be utilized, to fix the problem properly.
Look, it all started by us going there, and seeing these poor people, and interacting the best we can, It doesn't matter that things never get any better for them, no matter how much money's put in, and conceivably sometimes even worse.
That just shows you how deep the problem is. We've only scratched the surface of the issues that we're trying to address. We've disturbed the rupture and the pain started pouring out. But before, we weren't even acknowledging it.
Oh, no, I can't hear you. No.
Succinctly put, Harry. Look, we think it's better to suffer now and actually deal with the problems rather than just pretending everything's okay.
Sometimes you're better off just squeezing the pimple.
It's the way we can bring about a better world, right? It looks a bit silly when only one of us does it, Harry. What, you're ignoring me now?
No, not.
Mr. Malcolm Ecstasy asks of you, Meghan, whether in hindsight it was classless, self-absorbed and downright unfair to subject the children in a Harlem school to your book, The Bench, whilst visiting.
Unfair? Subjecting? Oh, hey kid, want a sweet? Oh, that's harsh. Hey kid, want to go to the fun fair? Oh, how cruel. Oh, hey kid, want to hear some spellbinding children's literature? It's hardly all of a twist.
I really haven't had anyone to read it to. And then this thought just came to me. Why not read it to the kids at the school that we're going to visit in Harlem? Mr. Ecstasy is probably being a tad curt in his manner with that question, although The Bench was poorly reviewed throughout the whole of the media. But surely you would accept that it does come across as rather conceited and full of oneself to go there and actually read your own book.
Oh yeah, perhaps you should have read one of the classics. Or even better, one by an extremely talented but underprivileged child's writer. I love your book. I love the book. How many times have I got to say? I love The Bench.
We all do, Harry. But Mr. Jeremy Weathervane wants to ask about the faux American accent you used when talking to crowds in New York City.
I don't even know what y'all talking about.
What exactly does Mr. Weathervane want to ask about Harry's accentuation shift?
Is that a thing?
Yes, Harry. He asks more precisely whether you have any idea how ridiculous it comes across to 90% of us watching.
Yeah, but it's in the 10% where the power lies.
No, Harry, you're getting it all wrong. What you gotta remember is, what you gotta accept is that Harry was very spiritually damaged by his previous life, but before he met me.
GSH, grievous spiritual harm.
Yeah, sometimes Harry tries a little bit too hard to fit in, so that he might end up, copying people's accents or, allowing people close to him to completely control his life. And all of his susceptibilities come about through neurological damage caused by his obstructed expression whilst he was caged in his previous royal life, in the royal household. Arthur Sightful asks why you, Meghan, have a tendency to overspeak but undersay.
Yeah, which gives us the benefit of a glorious melody for every truth.
When I speak, it kind of unfolds, right? With lots of purposeful pauses and terms like, and right, which kind of pads things out while I'm waiting for the next, moment, like to hit me, and for the words to come, and for the sentence to continue.
Oh, it really is something to behold, Meghan. So your answer to Mr. Sightful's question is because you don't really know what you're going to say, and you just speak whatever pops into your head.
Bingo.
But that's only when I'm answering a question whilst unprepared. If I know what the question is going to be, I follow the script perfectly. Oh God, yeah. Everything I say is perfectly scripted.
Like a glove.
And even when it is scripted, I don't want to state anything that can be pushed back against too hard. So, even when it is scripted, those statements usually say, very little. Right?
Right. So whether scripted or off the cuff, they are more often than not purposefully ambiguous.
Right. Absolutely. And if I want to make a real difference, I'll write to important people directly so that the common people themselves can't get in the way of me trying to improve their lives.
Even if it's against their will?
Oh, yeah.
Classy. Meghan, you recently wrote to Speaker Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I think that parental paid leave is on the cusp of becoming a national reality. It's not about right or left. It's about right or wrong. It's about putting families above politics.
Which is more or less word for word what you wrote in the letter, Meghan. And did you write the letter yourself?
Yeah. Almost completely all of it.
I chipped in a word or two.
And what do you mean by putting families above politics?
Well, what I mean is giving families proper paid leave so they can build relationships with their, potentially non-binary newborns. There's nothing complicated or confusing about it.
Okay, and who would pay the wages of the parents who are on leave?
Either the employer or the government, There's plenty of money out there that can be found for non-essential indulgences, but we can't find it for families?
Oh, no, I'm not arguing against your policy positions at all, Meghan. I'm as communist as they come. What I'm wondering is, how are we going to put families above politics by introducing sweeping legislation?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, you're calling for the government to either supply or to force businesses to supply paid leave to all its employees, both of which are nakedly political.
This is politics for families, rather than politics for politics' sake.
Very good, Harry. Well done.
Yes, well, Carolyn Prendergast asks, are you not concerned that with every new right afforded to every citizen?
Let me just stop you there, because I believe paid leave should be available to all undocumented citizens, too.
It will eventually bankrupt the nation.
So what? Are we to dispense with rights now?
Well, Carolyn might say that a right is something that no one else has to give you. Freedom of speech, association, freedom of protest, for instance. I mean, you could theoretically and conceivably have those rights anywhere on earth, unless they're taken away.
About time.
Whereas you can't have a right to access a mutual fund that doesn't exist. I mean, paid parental leave for all would be a government intervention to which you would or wouldn't have access to, not a fundamental right, Carolyn might say.
Yeah, but you'd have a fundamental right to use it. I really don't see the difference.
In the letter, Meghan, you said that many of our economic systems are past their expiration date. And, as you well know, too many Americans are forced to shortchange themselves when it comes to what matters to them.
Oh, that's one of my favourite parts of the letter, actually. It's amazing.
The economic systems that made people rich in the past, right? But are actually preventing people becoming rich now.
They gotta go.
Would these be the same economic systems that have sustained royal wealth and allowed you to make a 9-figure sum for your work on Netflix and Spotify?
Yeah, but we want to make sure that we're one of the last ones.
Yeah, you've got to close the door at some point.
Look, after you've gone onto the website and the Patreon page, go, subscribe, like, share, notification bell.